Joe literally just like peeked his head in and was just kind of like, oh, hey, I think it was Jalen. Ref just turns around, fucking cowboy, boom, tees him up. Ridiculous. Then they're going to line up and boom, give Jalen a technical for who the fuck knows why.
I'm not worried about like the defense, but I do honestly feel like the defense a little bit is a result of the lack of shot making. Eventually, you miss so many shots and so many threes that you're just never really getting to set your defense. The
player or the coach or whatever, like being like held back, like so pissed, and then they just cut away to like the ref, and the ref just, no matter what, just looks like the biggest dweeb in the world. They're all just sitting there like pretending like they don't like aren't even noticing that a guy wants to fucking kill him right now.
Should've never sent him to pick up the work for him. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It's Thursday, December 19th, and the Celtics lose to the Bulls 117-108. Definitely a couple things we're going to dive into on this. I think the defense was really out of sorts in this one. So I think that's really where things fall. But the ref show at the end of this game was really something. Chud, let's go ahead and bring you in here. Did the refs fuck it up so bad that we can just blame them for this loss? Or do we have to take some accountability for the way the team played, at least defensively? The shooting wasn't there, which has happened before, but the defense tonight seemed like the real issue. But the refs kind of gave us a good excuse. Which one are we going to go with?
No, I don't think you can use the refs as an excuse. I think this was a good, well-played, very competitive, high-level game for about, until about 5 minutes left, and then the last 5 minutes were almost a completely different game. Felt like almost more of a sideshow, but I think partially that was a result of the Celtics' frustration from the way the game had gone. So I don't think the Celtics like fell apart or collapsed or anything, but I think there was definitely some frustration boiled over some bad calls. Refs didn't play help, but also the way they responded to that. I mean, it'd be one thing if that technicals fired them up, as we've seen kind of have happened in the past. Kind of went the other way. I think the Bulls went on like an 11-3 run after the first technical, so didn't respond very well to it. And you can see they just
does that include like the 5 points they basically got directly from it? That 11-3.
I mean, I'm sure it might have played
so
a part, but...
so for anyone who missed it, basically, so we'll get into kind of the whole rest of the game, but I think this is kind of the story to lead with. There was kind of a scrum for the ball. Pritchard and Jalen were both in there. They called the jump ball. Since it was Pritchard's jump ball, it looked like Jalen disagreed. Joe kind of like literally just like peeked his head in and was just kind of like, oh, hey, I think it was Jalen. Ref just turns around, fucking cowboy, boom, tees him up. Ridiculous. Then they're going to line up for the tech, or did they shoot the first tech?
They were going to line up for the jump.
For the jump. Oh, the jump after the shot, yeah. And boom, give Jalen a technical for who the fuck knows why. I guess still just talking about that. Both very quick, both very dumb, both exactly the kind of stuff I've talked about before. That it's like the NBA refs have like a knack for when a game is getting like exciting, and when the crowd is getting into it, and when like the players are getting into it, and everything is like going great for like a viewer's perspective of like, okay, great, nice, intense final few minutes of this game. Everyone lock in. This should be a great finish to a game. It's like the refs have a knack to be like, doop, no, wait, we're here too. And then about 2 minutes later, too, Tatum got a technical too. This time from Tony Brothers. The other one was his name, Justin Van something.
Justin Van Dyne, yeah.
Justin Van Dyne. Absolute clown. It was terrible. And then so they after the two techs, they scored a 3. The Bulls did, so it was a 5-0 run, basically just off that. And then, like you said, from then on, it just kind of fell apart for us. I don't know. That shit. Like I said, it's a nice kind of built-in thing. Like, oh, the refs really, we had them right where we wanted them right before the refs did that. But even before that, the fourth quarter, they came out playing really poorly. We saw a Springer, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard lineup to start the fourth quarter, and that kind of went on maybe a little bit longer. I didn't mind the Springer minutes by and large, but I did think that was a little interesting, and the results kind of didn't work out. But yeah, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on the refs or just anything else from the game. Again, we'll get into the defense, but that ref shit is just so bad.
The refs, it's an annoying situation. Again, I think it ultimately plays a small role in the outcome, and it kind of like takes away from, like I said, an otherwise good game. The Bulls were winning at the time when the whole thing started, but I think only up 3. We just cut a 9-point lead to 3, I want to say. That little scrum happened, and then again, it's like tack, 3. Suddenly a 5-point swing. We miss. I think they scored again, and suddenly the game felt almost over. Like we were suddenly in comeback mode. A game that felt like it was we'd almost got back to tie with 5 minutes left. So kind of robbed of that. Haven't heard any explanation. Like the Joe one, when you saw the side replay, it was just hilarious because it was more just that he was so far on the court. He was right in the ref's ear. I'm guessing that's what it was, that he was just like, dude, you're way, way too far on the court. Still, I think in that situation, you can be like, just move back. Like, maybe he said something. I don't know. But yeah, super quick tech. The Jalen one, did they show a replay? I didn't even see.
I didn't see a replay. I just assumed based on that other one that it had to have been bullshit.
Yeah, I would imagine. That to me is over the top. Like the Joe one, quick tee, all right. But that's where it's like, tempers are high now. Let it go. Let them like get it out a little bit. You called the tech. You made your point. Relax. To call another tech before they've even resumed play. Again, didn't see it on replay and obviously don't know exactly what was said, but that's the one to me that seems like, okay, that's just way too far. Then it's the 2-point swing.
I mean, I think they're all just way too far. I think we can't even I feel like this is like a thing where it's like we can't middle ground this. Like that ref was out of control. Oh, like there is no ridiculous. Like, well, this one, because this one wasn't so bad. No, they were both so terrible.
They all suck, but just to me, the second one drives me crazy. After it's like, okay, you made your point with the tech. Now you called the tech. Let them like argue more and get it out. You can't just be like tech. It's like, stop.
It's like right. So what are they supposed to do?
I don't like the point, but you made your point. Now relax. Cover your ears for a minute so you can let it all out and move on. But then to like, that's just where it's like you're getting way too sensitive. It's not.
Yeah.
2 techs for that is ridiculous. But again, I think, and you said kind of the Celtics played poorly. I thought more of the Bulls played really well. Like really impressive shot make. I thought in the first half the Celtics played. It was kind of weird. It was almost like a role reversal type of situation that it seems like this year sometimes the other teams have kind of played harder and out executed us, but we've stayed in it with just like crazy shot making and bursts. In the first half, it was like the Bulls, Zach LaVine, especially Pat Williams, made a couple, but those guys were just making some crazy shots. I thought the Celtics were playing pretty good defense, and I thought we were playing really well, getting good looks, just tough shooting night. Couldn't get them to drop. And even mostly through that third quarter, it felt like if we could ever just get hot, make like 3 threes in a row, we would basically put the game away. We were kind of winning most of it by like 3-5 points.
That's what I expected to happen in the fourth.
It felt like it was coming the whole night. We would just hit one, and then it's like, okay, there we go. But they just couldn't string multiple threes in a row together. The Bulls shot really well. And then in the fourth quarter, the defense fell apart. And then at that point, it wasn't LaVine. I was really impressed by that Bulls second unit. Ton of energy. Ayo Dosunmu played really well. Julian Phillips played really well. Those guys were just
Who's number 14 on the Bulls?
I think that's Phillips. Julian Phillips. He was making offensive rebounds like crazy.
No. He had it. No, the guy, because I looked up his name earlier and he had a different name, but he looks like 14. He's like 12 years old.
Montes Buzelis, the rookie.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Buzelis. Yeah, he was like the
that was crazy.
5th overall pick, I want to say. He's
this
like
year?
18. Yeah.
All right. Wow.
It was in the G League Ignite last year. Should be a good player.
Like someone who got on the court with like a fake ID or something like that.
Yeah, he's a project for sure. But no, but he should be a pretty good player. But the other guys, they were just taking it to us. Dosunmu, it seemed like he had 3 or 4 layups in a row where he just was flying down the court, and it seemed like we almost expected him to like stop and slow down the offense, and he just blew right by guys. Layup lines, 3-4 in a row.
That's what this team is now.
I know. I've been saying that.
I thought we did a really good job for the majority of the game, of being the ones to control the pace and like not let them get out. But I think in that fourth quarter, that just and this is even before the technicals just fell apart. Like they were getting out, they were running, and they were scoring in transition and scoring like just very fast. And we just even when we were down there, we were the ones getting caught in rotation. We were getting like Mazzulla ball. That was.
And it honestly, it didn't
feel good. I can see.
It didn't feel good. I'm not like I'm not worried about like the defense, but I do honestly feel like the defense a little bit is a result of the lack of shot making, because like it's funny, remember Joe's first year, he would sound so crazy because we'd play a bad game and he would never talk about the defense. He'd be like, well, actually our offense has to be better. And he's like, you shot too many threes. Actually, we need to shoot more threes. Even though like it would almost be like, what are you talking about? Now that we're like Joe disciples, I honestly see it tonight, because it's like eventually you miss so many shots and so many threes that you're just never really getting to set your defense. The Bulls, one of the fastest teams in the league, now gets to getting out in transition and push off a miss time after time after time. And I think it takes a mental toll on you too, like the shot's not going in, never being able to kind of get that momentum. You're just playing on your heels. And it was like that kind of led, I think, to the defense finally kind of breaking down and decaying and just dipping a little, I think, in effort out of like frustration and all that a tiny bit. And the Bulls just took advantage with that second unit of guys. And that's when they really opened up that lead. And then the technical fast opened it up a little more, and then from that point on, they were able to just kind of close it out again with playing really well. I was impressed with their offense, and I was more surprised how much I was actually impressed with the way they played defense against us. I thought it was just really impressive, and especially late in that game, like they were just not letting us really get them in rotation. We couldn't get our drive and kick game going. We weren't forcing a ton of help, and they were really staying connected on the perimeter and just not letting us get any good catch and look shots. So it was partially a tough shooting night. Partially, I thought they did a really good job of defending what we wanted to do. And then we kind of got in our own way a little bit there as well. So combination of things, sprinkle in the shitty reffing, of course, all on top, made for an annoying game, but hats off to the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, it was a good game overall. There was 20 different lead changes throughout the game, so it was an exciting kind of back and forth game. But yeah, I mean, the Bulls, I think they had said too that I think we beat them like 5 times in a row too. So eventually that dog bites back a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a combination of things, and I saw there's a lot of people like Celtics fans are so weird sometimes, or at least some on social media, like people just freak out whenever we lose like a game. And it's obviously sucks. And this game was, it was frustrating because it is a game you should win. But even with all the things that I was saying, where I thought the defense was bad, you just kind of went into the shot making, how that plays a part. And it's still like, it just doesn't change anything. No, it's just like these games are just kind of like, you almost are just like in the course of a season, you're going to have to give a few up. And this is just one that I feel like we gave up. We'll see this team again on Saturday, chance for revenge in their house. So, I bet you it will be a different type of game. Our schedule too just feels so like off and everything like that. That's got to be kind of especially for a team that just counts on making shots like we do. That level of being away and just coming back in. It's a lot of things. This is December 19th. There's anyone out there that's panicking or getting annoyed or frustrated. Some people were like instantly trying to blame. This is Jalen's fault. I thought he played really well in the fourth quarter. I did think the first few quarters he could have been maybe a little bit locked in. I don't know. People are like, he's got a lot going. I don't know if it has anything to do with the breaking in at his mom's house. Like if that would affect his. People were like, I think he just got that on his mind. I don't know. I think he just had an off night, except in the fourth when he did kind of turn it on. But
yeah, I don't know.
A little good game, both, a lot of good stuff to learn from. Right, that's what Joe always says.
Definitely a lot to learn from. I mean, another good opportunity tonight where we faced some serious adversity, couldn't overcome it, but definitely stuff to build on, stuff to learn from. So, got to appreciate that. And again, I mean, you said a game we should win, and we definitely should, but this is kind of, what was that quote Joe had, like where he's like, "We're still the hunters" or whatever, because of when you sit back and become the hunted, whatever. I forget exactly what he said, but you see that because like every team is coming up gunning for us. We're not really getting anyone else's off nights, so when our off nights do happen, it's usually against the team's best effort. You saw it tonight. Zach LaVine's been in all these trade rumors.
Looked like he was auditioning himself like a guy who wants to get traded to a contender.
And I mean, he looked good. I'm super impressed. Like, which not that it's like surprising when he's healthy. He's always been a good player.
Kind of said like, I don't think this guy. I think he's always talked about it. And I don't know, but tonight he looked really good. This was a game. I'm usually guys kind of like think LaVine's a little overrated, but damn, tonight was good. He made like 6 threes. He had like 30 something points. So
like 36, 6 and 4 or something. I think on pretty good efficiency. And I mean that's really been the thing where it's like, is he just a good stats bad team guy? Never has really had a chance to prove otherwise. Feels like he's been on the trading block for his entire career.
Years. Yeah, his whole career.
Despite being like pretty good, it's like he's always been just his contract and injuries and like losing teams have overshadowed all of his stats and whatever else. So, I mean, he's made a couple All-Star games, whatever. But yeah, he had a good game tonight. And again, kind of go up and down the list. Pretty impressed by what you saw from these Bulls guys, looking that good. And again, our worst shooting night of the season. So, you know,
and this is only the second time that starting five has played a game together this year too,
which is crazy. I know.
So, I mean, you know, that's I know they've obviously played together last year and everything, but still, you know, I mean, and again, the schedule's just so weird.
Sure.
I think as we get rolling with some of these games, I mean, even us podcasters, it feels a little like we were getting in today. It's like, whoa, this feels different. Like, where's the record button here? What's going on?
No doubt. A little out of rhythm. And yeah, I mean, I thought Jaylen definitely had a tough night. I thought he, especially, seemed like he was getting frustrated. He couldn't make a shot. He finally hit that corner three, but I think he was like 1 of 8 on threes for the night. Tough shooting night. Almost seemed like for a little bit he was going to get himself going there just by getting to the rim. He had a few possessions in a row. I think we got up to like a 5-point lead. He had a layup and then he like drew a foul and it's like, there we go. Just, you know, don't worry about the shot. Just get to the rim. But, you know, it wasn't our overall worst from three, but it was one of our worst shooting three nights, but it was a tough shooting night everywhere. It seemed like even around the rim when we were driving, just couldn't finish. Obviously, pretty physical game. Weren't getting a ton of calls in there. Clearly, guys weren't too happy about that. You expect when you're driving that much to see the Jays go to the line more. If it's consistent on both ends, though, I'm fine with it. Again, beyond the technicals and that whole situation, I didn't have an overall like problem really with the reffing. But it obviously is going to build frustration when you can't hit any threes. Then you're driving hard, you're not finishing, and you're not getting calls. Like all that shit adds up to a pretty tough offensive night, combined with I thought a really good connective defensive effort by the Bulls. And them just playing pretty well. Like I said, I think more about them than us, and they played a really good game. We didn't play a very good game, and it's kind of just who the Celtics are. I expect them now to string a few wins together in a row. We win basically 4 out of every 5 games, no matter who the opponent is and where they're playing, and like it almost just seems like that's
like I said, every now and then only death can pay for life.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
It was overall a fun game. Again, the ref thing I kind of kidded about it. You know, that did kind of. It just grinds my gears so much because it's something I talked about so many times where it's just like, just let and it kind of gets into something that I do want to talk about later on. So, but I don't know if you have anything else on the show specifically or this game specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to hear kind of what the players and what Joe and everybody says.
Oh, did we mention too? Joe tried to attack the refs after the game too. That was, so
yes, that's true.
He might not be on that trip in Chicago.
Yeah. Well. I don't know.
It's a lot of it always looks worse when you're getting like held back too. Like I feel like, you know, but
right.
It just makes you look more crazy.
I get it. It's tough. It's tough. And it felt like the game got away and was a little bit spoiled. Again, I don't think that's the reason we lost, but I did think it kind of ruined the momentum of what was otherwise a good game. And I was looking forward to kind of seeing how that would play out down the stretch the way Sumo and LaVine were playing for them. Like, I think we were headed for a really good finish because it seemed like we had almost just kind of tried to flip a switch after we had been playing a shitty defensive quarter. It seemed like we had flipped a switch, made a little run. And then that play was actually a hustle play. I think it was a corner three that would have tied the game. Pritchard came in, like back tapped it loose, and it was a loose ball diving on the floor. So the crowd was finally into it. It seemed like the crowd had been waiting all night to have a chance to get into it. They finally were. And then that was like even the thing. It just completely squashed all of that momentum too. So just really rough stretch, but unfortunately, don't want to blame it on the loss. It sucks.
No. You can't really, but we can just use it as a way to just continue to push my anti-ref agenda.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you got anything else just on the game? No, I mean, no Cornette. We had everyone. He kind of came in and mop up too late. What did you think about the Springer minutes?
Yeah, so I mean, again,
early minutes I didn't mind. The late minutes I didn't really love.
No, I mean, I'm totally fine with that. It's just another example of what we talked about all year. He's done it with Walsh. He's done it with Keita. And I'll bet you, if someone asks, I bet it was the same thing tonight. I doubt he told him he was going in. I bet it was just randomly 7 minutes into the game, looks over on the bench. Springer, you're in. He's like, oh, shit. So it's cool. Keeping these guys on their toes, putting them into live action like that. Good opportunity. I mean, that's got to be his first game in the rotation all year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
First one I can remember him playing rotation minutes, unless there was a game where a bunch of guys sat or something. But got to be close to his like first real opportunity. It's with Springer, it's just if he can develop into like even a decent 3-point shooter, he's so good on defense. And I thought that, I mean, was probably part of the strategy with such a fast and athletic team and all those kind of perimeter guys for the Bulls that you saw were giving us trouble. It made sense, I thought, having Springer out there for his perimeter defense, his switchability, all that stuff. And I honestly thought the minutes were pretty good. It's just tough. He's like such a non-factor on offense, and it sticks out with our team when every other one of the guy who's playing is.
Especially when we're not making any shots.
That's tough.
Too.
Obviously, no Sam Hauser, who, that would be his role. Important to point out. But otherwise, it's cool. Again, love like Joe trying new things, and we can afford to when we're in the position we are. Like, it's not like going to be like
14 for 56.
Joe, like, you're messing around with this game. Like, no, it's cool. Totally cool.
14 for 56 from 3 is I feel like that's like a thing. Like if you like froze someone in like the 70s and like took them out today and like showed them that stat line, be like, absolutely. No, it would be sick for them, right?
I don't know.
14 for 56. I think so. We missed 41 threes.
42, yeah.
42.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough to do on a night when on a day when it felt like the 3-point shooting was under such like a spotlight.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously,
it's just
pro 3-point guy.
It's just tough night. Couldn't get him going, and I mean, it's pretty much everyone across the board. So yeah, turn around, and I'm sure they'll have some good shooting coming up. So not really overly concerned about it. Just truly one of those nights. But otherwise, again, it felt almost weird having those whole top 7 guys. I feel like that's the first time we've had that whole lineup, both bigs and Pritchard in this new role where he's like a star, because it like dawned on me when we made our first subs, and it's like, Jesus, we just brought in like Al and Pritchard off the bench. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Like, sucks for other teams. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully they can get more time all together, because
and hopefully nothing serious with Hauser. I mean, because he was the one on
said back spasms.
Yeah. Who knows? But on a night like tonight, especially, where man could have been a guy who could swing the game. On a night where we just couldn't make a 3, Hauser could have come in, hit 2 threes in a row. Something that's a different game. Like, So you saw the downgraded shooting from him to Springer. Felt tonight, certainly.
That was tough. That was tough.
All right,
cool. Should we give out our Chuddy Chains? Jeez, I don't even know if I have a Chuddy Chain idea. Actually, I got an idea for a Chuddy Chain. I got one. This is maybe a little controversial.
All right.
Have we already ruled? Can I give one to Joe for being such a psychopath trying to go after the ref?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
All right. Then I'm going to give my Chuddy Chain tonight to Joe for being such a psychopath going after the ref after the game. Absolutely love to see that. Especially because the first technical he got was so mild and so ridiculous. It was nice that he kind of went and said that I'll go get mine. I wonder what the reaction from the league will be for that. It's always so funny when that happens too. I think. What's that?
I said at least the fine. Suspension, I think, will be a little bit much.
That'd be much, yeah, because it wasn't like he was even close to him either way. But it is always funny when they have those videos where the camera is showing the ref or the player or the coach or whatever, like being like held back, like so pissed, and then they just cut away to like the ref, and the ref just, no matter what, just looks like the biggest dweeb in the world. They're all just sitting there like to pretend like they don't aren't even noticing that a guy wants to fucking kill him right now.
Right.
So that's always just great television. So
yeah,
shout out to Joe for that. He gets my Chuddy Chain.
Yeah, I'm this might be controversial as well, but I'm gonna give out a joint Chuddy Chain to 2 guys.
Now we just
I'm gonna give it to 2 guys. I'm gonna give it to Tony Dobbins and Sam Cassell for having to hold Angry Joe back on multiple occasions.
I like that one.
Was as impressive as anything I saw anyone do tonight on the court. So kudos to them for, if Joe really wanted to get to that ref and they were able to stop him from even leaving the bench to get a second tee in that spot, and then again at the end of the game when it was a no holds bar. Props to them. Shout out. I think they deserved it tonight.
Yeah, those are fair. Those are all very fair Chuddy Chains. No complaints from me there. All right, we'll pay some bills and then we'll go to some around the NBA. I kind of had a topic we talked about a little bit that I wanted to maybe get into a little bit more. But first,
love topic.
Chuddy's Corner is sponsored by Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickpareno.com for all of your real estate needs. He's got you covered for everything, whether it's big, small, local, long distance, all over the world, all over the country, all over your state. nickpareno.com. That's nickparano.com. Check him out, Nick Pareno Real Estate. All right. Today, it seemed like one of those days where, like, the story of the day was just all about the NBA's ratings and how the league is ruined, and there's all this bad shooting. There's too much 3-point shooting. There's also not enough, like, fighting and all this. It's like everyone had a reason for why the NBA was, like, not as great as it once was. Now, I think we're probably in agreement on this. I think from, like, a talent and, like, knowledge of the game, X's and O's type of stuff on the court, I think the league is in, like, the best place it's probably ever been. But the ratings are down. It seems like as a percentage, I saw something was like 48%. I don't know. You see so many different charts, but I've seen some things where it's like, relatively speaking, it's not all that bad. But either way, I have a couple things that I think might be attributing to it. I don't think it's so much just the 3-point shooting. I think that's going to be the easy scapegoat. And we've talked a little bit about it on the show. Like, that will probably be the thing that the league will try to fix first. Because I think a lot of the other issues are kind of harder to fix. So the 3-point, if you want one of those, but I honestly think a lot of it comes down to, like, a marketing issue. I think the league is terrible at marketing kind of the stars that are in the league. And I think even when it does, it kind of markets them in a way that it just appeals to just a small audience of people. But even I was looking at an article for the OKC and Houston Rockets NBA Cup semifinal, and, like, the first line of the article was something that was like, this may not have been the matchup we were hoping for in the semifinals. It's like, that's a sick matchup. Like, you got to hype that up. It almost feels like there's so much negativity around the NBA that the NBA just isn't able to counteract it with their own, like, marketing. I don't know. That's one of my things. The other one, we already talked about this a little bit. Like, the way the refs just don't allow, there's, like, it's like almost like the league just wants everyone to be these, like, one type of, like, person, like, go out there, play basketball, have fun, don't be too intense, don't let the rivalries get intense, don't talk trash. If you dunk over a guy and you look at him, ooh, you're in big trouble now. Like, you don't want to do that. And I think that just ruins the game. I think some of the most fun times that I can remember are when there was, like, these big personalities and things like that just made the game exciting to watch in that sense. Let's start with those two, because I have a couple other reasons. I don't want to just go on a whole, like, tirade and then ask you what you thought of all that. But I think the marketing thing is a big part of it, and I think the ref part of it is a part of it too. But more so, I really think the marketing. Just think the league sucks at marketing itself.
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there, certainly. I know
what's going on.
I think it's obviously a major topic right now. I think it's really, first of all, a very overblown topic, because I don't know, like, all the ins and outs of how they calculate these ratings and what counts, what doesn't, how it comes down, but I feel like more people are following and there's more interest and the league is more popular and the ratings are up in every other country other than the USA, which is maybe not, like, surprising, but it seems like the overall,
that was something I was actually wondering.
The game is, like, very healthy, it seems like, overall. And also, it's funny too, there's so much talk about ratings. Like, they literally just signed that absolute monster TV deal that goes to what, like 2040 or something, for, like, all those billions and billions of dollars. Why the league is, like, making so much money. So I don't know, I just feel like it's not a real concern. And the ratings, to me, it's more of just, you look at something like the NFL, which seems like it's the only thing that has good ratings. It's like they play once a week and all the games are either on CBS or Fox. It's like network TV, you turn it on, the games are on, that's what it's going to go to. That's just, like, when you watch. The NBA, it's like there's TNT, there's ESPN, there's ABC, there's NBA TV, there's streaming on, like, people are watching Crunch Time, people are watching League Pass, people are streaming League Pass. It's on all the RSNs have, like, 72 games a season. Sometimes they play Monday, sometimes they play Tuesday, sometimes they play Wednesday. Like, in general, I think people just watch TV less. They're not flipping through and landing on games. Like, you have to seek them out. and they're on so much. It's like the volume of the games is sometimes overwhelming, and the coverage of the league kind of not like the national TV like coverage that you watch, but the other coverage and social media and stuff, you can like follow the league fairly closely without like tuning in as watching as much as back in the day. It was like if you didn't watch, you just had no clue what's going on. Now it's like there's so many other ways, and I feel like people do go for that. So it's tough, and so many people probably illegal stream and this and that, whatever. But again, overall,
and that's a big part of it because there's so in bed with cable, and I think so many young people like have cut the cord.
Right, and especially like these regional channels too, which is even harder to stream. It's not even like having like ESPN Plus or something, an app. It's just like if you don't have whatever Bally Sports, Comcast Sportsnet, like or whatever, which again, a lot of probably younger people who are interested in the NBA don't have. There's like not paying to do it. So again, like I don't really think it's a big deal. The TV money's there. I agree with the marketing element, and I think it sucks. Like as much as I've always kind of felt like the bad guy not being kind of inside the NBA because it's such an awesome show, but I just hate like how those are kind of the guys who represent the league, where they're basically just these old heads who like hate everything new about basketball and just shit talk all the players, make fun of how they don't even know the players and don't follow them. Like again, it's great entertainment,
right?
But as a basketball show, it's horrible, and it's like almost making fun of the product that you're supposed to be like the main show to prop up. Then you look over the ESPN show, it's even worse with fucking Perk, Bob Myers, whoever's on there now. It's just like, could you make this program any less appealing for people to watch? So it's like,
that's so true.
Again, just look at the ways that TV channels, like how much focus they put into the production that goes into like, Football Night in America, these like NFL productions. You watch a game, you're like, holy shit, this feels sick. This pregame gets you hyped up. In basketball,
the NFL,
these idiots just talking is like, I don't even want to fucking watch this. I'd watch 2 hours of pregame if it was good.
Yeah, well, it's funny bringing up the NFL because it just made me think about it. Like the NFL will look you square in the eye and tell you that like a Texans Jets game on, or no, not because Texans are right now. Like a Jets versus like Patriots game would be like a great game on a Thursday night. They'd be like, these are two. It's like they're each like 3 wins. Like these are two teams that are really jockeying for position here, and they'll tell you straight to your face that that's going to be a good game, knowing that it's going to be one of the worst games. What was the Panthers-Giants game that was in Berlin? Right. They were like, this is the historic game. It's like, you're like, oh, wow. Like, you almost for a second have to remind yourself, oh, wait, it's still the fucking Giants-Panthers. But like you said, they have, so many of the pregame shows, and that's one of the things with even just this whole conversation that we're having. It's like the NBA has already conceded that there is a problem, that it is bad, and they need to fix it. Like when they had the conversation, it's not even like anyone getting on there and being like, no, people, like the NBA is like legit. You got to watch more of these games. Like you got to watch these teams play. These teams are good. It's like they're already conceding. Like the talking point won't be like, hey, defend the league that we're covering. It'll be like, so people think we suck. Like, don't we? It's like, okay, what the hell?
Well, and
you're
I think
almost
it's
like conceding that point to start.
It's the only sport where they seem to care so much about, I mean, not the only sport, but it seems like they make the biggest deal out of like the market size and needing these big teams to be good. Whereas like, I don't know, if the NFL was the NBA, it'd be like, ever since Patrick Mahomes' third year, they'd be like, they gotta get Mahomes out of Kansas City. Like, this is a disaster for the league. Like, oh my God. It's like Josh Allen in upstate New York. Like, this is league's worst nightmare. Like, whatever, it's like, you don't hear that shit at all. Or again, the national TV audience where everyone can usually watch those ESPN, TNT games, it's all
that's what the whole pregame
Lakers,
is.
The Warriors, the Knicks. Those are the only teams they talk about, and it's like they're so scared to pass the torch from LeBron and Curry to the next wave. And like those guys are still good and interesting, but every night you get peppered with them. Like you said, the Rockets Thunder game they played right before that, before the NBA Cup, and they're the 1 and 2 seed in the West. All these good young players, so many storylines, such an opportunity to hype up, and instead they're showing some other game. It's not even on national TV, and there's so many good players. There's so much talent across the league. It's so easy to hype this up and make it cool. And again, it already is. Like so many people do like it, but just it's like they get in their own way so much. And it seems like there's a huge disconnect between what fans want, which again is so like should be so easy for them to provide, and they're just like, oh, you want that? Well, here's this. And it's like, no, like why are you doing this? So
I think the point that you just made too about like players in small markets, it's like they instantly just become like, people be tuning in to watch. Think about
Shai
before,
Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis. Just market them, not the market.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like people will tune into a game. Like I remember, like before Damian Lillard got traded, they would have like the Blazers would get a rare nationally televised game, and the whole pregame would just be like, "Are the Blazers? Do they got to get rid of Dame? Does Dame got to get out of there?" It's like your whole pregame show is just talking about how like, doesn't it suck that there's even a team in Portland? Like, isn't that fucking crazy? Like,
it's so bad.
It's like the coverage is it's all like it's all shitty
It's
hot take negativity stuff
Right.
too. I think social media too, there's just so much like engagement farming bullshit that's just like, here's a clip of like 5 missed 3-pointers in a row. Like, this is why I don't watch the NBA.
Right.
It's like,
right.
like
Not
what the fuck? You could watch any other game and get the exact opposite of that. It's just like people see it kind of clips. And again, I think the NBA doesn't do themselves any favor with the way they have people covering it. It's just
right.
There's a good point with the inside the NBA because I do like inside the NBA and it is funny. But it does sort of like if it's like, okay, these guys don't even give a shit. Like, why should I care about who plays? Like every now and then they have to give a shitty team a national game, and when they do, every time that the pregame coverage is always just like, isn't this fucking crazy? We're making you guys watch this game.
Not even shitty teams, just good teams that aren't in the big markets. It's like good teams.
I shouldn't even say shitty teams.
It's just it's pathetic. Like it really really has frustrated me for a long time. As much,
but
as
I do think the whole trade. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, I know.
But like the whole like, should this guy get traded talk thing too? I think that kind of goes into one of my next kind of points where it's like it does seem like the players just are just like, I think just terrible. Like, I don't know if it's like media training or what you would call it, but it's just like that frustrates people so much too, that players are just always being like, I want to be traded. It's become a league that has that kind of, I think, the player reputation problem. So even when you try to push a star, it's like then they go and do something that just kind of makes it like, even look at someone like Damian Lillard. Like I love Damian Lillard in Portland. I thought he was like sick. I thought that it was like, that buzzer beat in the playoffs was like so nasty, whatever. But I just don't. It's like hard to still like the guy the way he tried to. I get if he wants to go and try to be a contender, but the way he sort of made it like, you better send me to Miami, like all that, the leaking and all that stuff. That even me who likes the NBA, just to me, it's just like, dude, that's like so lame. Like, I don't know. And I think that happens a lot. Like, you're seeing it. I mean, there's even like the Jimmy Butler stuff now. I mean, every time LeBron is like up for something, like, but he's like the one guy where it's like, okay, I guess he's done enough where he can whatever, just do that. But there's just always is like Durant. There's always like something, that he's like, what's he doing? He wants to be traded. I think over time that kind of sours people to players. They have an image problem there. I think that turned a lot of people off.
I think yes and no, because I agree with what you're saying in this grand scheme of like tuning into the games maybe and building an attachment to the team, but I think the overall player movement and all that stuff kind of is what drives interest as well. Like, they've made it, I think, strategically, so like the offseason and the trade deadline are as exciting to people as like watching the regular season games.
I think they've overdone it.
Well, perhaps, and I think that's part of the pushback that people are going to soon realize in this new CBA. It's a lot more restrictive and harder for teams to make trades, so I'm not sure you're going to see as much trades, especially some of these bigger players, and that's where you're seeing where it's like, oh, like Zach LaVine on the trade market, and everyone's like, yeah, we're good. Like, so
I know, $50 million, Jesus Christ.
Right, but I mean, you're seeing it with Brandon Ingram, and like you're kind of even seeing it with Jimmy Butler. You mentioned him earlier, and there's all these like the 4 teams he said he would be happy to go to. 3 of them, like, almost literally can't trade for him. Or, like, if they did, it's the only way they could. If you were the Heat, you'd be like, I think we'll just, like, keep you for that price. So I'll be interested, as much as I think people have kind of been annoyed by this whole new CBA, and there are definitely some, like, annoying parts. I think this might be one thing where, like, if you sign a deal and after 1 year you're like, I don't like this, it might not be so easy. You might kind of be more, like, stuck with things. And I think teams will be less liable to hand out these contracts.
The free agency stuff. Well, see, that's another thing, too, is that I think a lot of players are so overpaid. Like, it's crazy how much some players, and that kind of creates this sort of, like, diva mentality, too, that I think the league wrestles with. Not saying I mean, there's definitely some divas in the league, but it's like a perception thing, and the perception is really all that matters.
Right.
So if that's the case, that'd be great, if that kind of stops teams.
I think that the way it was kind of like you couldn't afford to lose the salary slot. So if you had a guy coming up, and you're like, well, we can't afford to lose him, so we'll just max him and then trade him. And it actually, if you really look at it, free agency really actually hasn't been that crazy, and there really haven't been any true stars to hit free agency, because it's like before, the new free agency has basically just been, well, I'm just going to sign a supermax and it's just a sign and trade. It's all sign and trades because they want to keep all that stuff and this, that, and whatever. And I think now you're seeing where guys like Ingram and LaVine and even some other guys around the league, I'm sure, who before it would probably, you just whatever, didn't work out, dump them. Oh, they want to go here, fine, whatever. Now it's like teams are going to have to make really hard decisions where like, yeah, obviously, you know, Brandon Ingram is a good player, but he's not that good of a player that he's like a max player. And I think now, especially in this, if you sign a guy to a max and he's not a max caliber player, like you're really going to screw yourself, and you're going to see the difference. Some of these teams, like their top two guys they're paying aren't elite. They're in trouble. I mean, Philly, that contract they just signed with Embiid, if he's not like that real Embiid, Paul George, if those guys take step backs and they're paying them max contract through 2029, like
they
it's going to be literally impossible to build a good team around them with this stuff. So will be very interesting as kind of an aside to see how that affects all the player movement. But back to the ratings thing real quick. I just want to say, like, I feel like whatever, the numbers are the numbers. We can argue about the reasons. I think we've made some good reasons. I think we can get into some other reasons, or maybe not even reasons, because I think a lot of people will say like this is a reason, but is there anyone really not watching because of that? I don't know.
Well, that's why all the people who complain about it, to me, it's like, okay, well, how many games were you watching 3 years ago? It's like the same number.
Would you watch
it's just
it?
like you haven't stopped. You haven't started or stopped watching less. Like
exactly. I don't think people are turning off games they would be watching because of any of the issues people are claiming. I think it's more like what I was saying. It's like Tuesday night, and you're like, "What? The game's on what channel?" Like I don't know, whatever. Netflix. Here's Netflix. Like it's just that people just consume entertainment differently. The NFL. You can't compare anything else to the NFL. The NFL is basically, they're selling events.
Yeah.
Every game is an event because of just the way the league is structured. The NBA is volume. It's like a running show that's on almost every night of the year. Like, obviously, you know, it's just that's the value in it. There's so much of it. Like, it's on all the time. Obviously, people aren't going to watch individual games as much, but over the course of the show's length.
And like you said, too, people say their ratings are down or whatever, but it's like, well, companies still just paid so much money to have these games. So the people who actually spend a ton of money, who again may also just be very stupid. Having money does not make you smart. But the fact that teams are spending that much money, it's like, I'm going to bet on that they know more than like what, you know, at like who ratings guide, you know, says on Twitter.
Also not only that, but I think the ratings being down by that percentage. And if we're to be believed, what we just kind of described about the frustrating element of it is, if these companies that are buying it are smart, and again, just because they have all this money doesn't mean they are, but being optimistic here, those are companies, Amazon, NBC, whatever, are looking at this and being like, this is an amazing product they have, and these people right now are just doing an awful fucking job selling it. We can do better.
If you're listening, again, NBC and Amazon.
When the NBA was on NBC, the era that supposedly so many people yearn for with nostalgia, that was the NBA on NBC, that Round Ball Rock theme song, you know, Marv Albert, Bill Walton, whatever, like. But also, we were just talking about, I think, you know, the NFL's covered well pretty much across the board, but I think the NBC production, those Sunday night football games, like, that's just a great production. And I think that they're going to go for that with the NBA. And they've already talked about making, like, Sunday night basketball after NFL season, like, things like that, where it's going to be like that. So hopefully they're kind of watching and seeing, like, oh, all this talk about ratings, here's all the things they're fucking up. They can come in as these conquering heroes next year and be like, we've heard the complaints, we're going to do it. And the guys, I've heard they got like Dirk, Blake Griffin, so Taylor Rooks, I think. Basically, it seems like they're doing a good job of being like, we want people who are
Blake Griffin like
appealing.
The face of the Amazon one.
I think that could be really cool. So I think moving in a direction to guys who like actually will talk about basketball, appreciate the game, and not just sit there and like crack jokes will be good for the leagues, surprisingly. And I think the productions, all that stuff can just be better. So hopefully that'll turn around. Cool to see, but I think potentially an exciting time. And we've talked about this a lot, but just real quick on the whole, like, people saying that it has to do with like the style of play, the threes, whatever, is just, to me, like, such bullshit. Because like, the only thing that's changed, if you look at the shots and like where they're coming from on a court in an NBA game, like shots at the rim, the percentage of shots at the rim, basically the same as it's always been.
Short mid range is basically the same.
Short mid range, basically the same. It's literally just long mid range shots have turned to threes. Which, like, find me the human being who's like, nah, fuck this. Like, those assholes need to move 2 feet closer. Like,
I mean,
I'm not
I did
watching.
love
Like,
that guard. I did love that Garnett just inside the 3-point
but now that you're
automatic.
thinking about it,
but looking
imagine
back,
if
you're
he
like,
had just stepped a
wow,
foot
yeah.
back. He would have been like the best player of all time.
I know. Yeah.
But
that is
so,
because I actually
again,
do think about that so much.
But why do people not like that? That's why I just don't believe anyone who says that. I think that's just an excuse for them to be like, "Ha, this sucks." Or it's just like, from an actual watching perspective, it's the same thing, just better. The players are better at making them. Go back, I promise, to these eras that people. It's just nostalgia. What people like back in the day. They say, "Oh, the game. There was so much more defense. It was so much more physical." I promise you, it wasn't. They're thinking of a few hard fouls and elbows. Nobody played defense. Go back and watch the defense. Watch a defensive possession. Watch a quarter of a game. And then watch a quarter of a game now. And tell me with a straight face what you like better about it. Because I promise you're going to go back and be like, Jesus, this is way worse than what I'm picturing in my head. Like, the actual on-court product right now, if you just like basketball, I think is way better. I don't think it's even, like, comparable. And again, I just don't find it hard to believe that people are like, nah, if they were just shooting more mid-range jumpers instead of 3-point jumpers, this would be way better. Like, no fucking way.
Well, I mean that's it, because I saw, and I'm guessing we might have seen the same chart. But it is interesting because it's just a matter of those shots are now just, instead of being 15 feet to whatever the 3-point line is, like it's now they're just right behind the 3-point line. It's not a whole lot more. And Mazzulla made a good point too. He's like, it's the only sport where more scoring is seemingly now looking like it's supposed to be a bad thing.
Well,
like, and with a game like tonight, they shot 64 threes. All right. So if this was 10 years ago, we would have shot 40 threes and just like 24 long, inefficient twos. Like that's what you're longing for instead. Like, what if we missed those? So it's like it doesn't. No, again, I think it's just people who just would be complaining about basketball no matter what.
It's just their nostalgia, and they wouldn't be watching. That's the thing. They're not watching. They're not watching because of that. Like that's. I just don't think those are fans that they could have, but they're losing because they're not shooting from a little bit closer and missing more. Yeah, because that's the other thing. The shooting is better, so it's more makes. And it's funny Mazzulla said that because I was thinking. Not the exact same thing, but along a similar line with the football comparison. I was thinking about it more when another thing that I think is just ridiculous, people saying everyone plays the same style, which again, when people complain about the amount of threes or everyone has the same style, to me, that just, I immediately think in my head, like, you either don't watch or you just don't, like, understand basketball at all. If you think every team has the same style, just because shooting a lot, again, that would be like watching the NFL and being like, all these teams are trying to, like, spread it out and pass. Like, this sucks. Like, I yearn for the team that goes wishbone and runs it like 50 times a game. It's like you never hear that complaint. And then Joe took it a step further. Where he's like, if anything, the NFL is doing everything in their power to favor the offense, and like they want every game to be like 45-40 seemingly, and that's like what the people want to watch. So he's right. Like, why is it a problem? It's not. So that to me is so stupid. And the ideas people have to fix it are even stupider to me, where I think there's a lot of tangible things.
Getting rid of the corner three.
That would just take away that part of the court. Nobody would go there and the spacing would be ruined and the game would be clunky as shit, and then they'd have to overcorrect the other way. Like, I just think the game's fine. The people are just going through like it's a phase. It's literally just like a phase of complaining. I
did also see Rick Pitino he said all you have to do is bring back the hand check and you're good. I don't hate that idea.
I think you could do a few more rules maybe that favor the defense, maybe at least hand checking outside the 3-point line, something like that. Or just call, like, they let the offensive players get away with so many push-offs, just favoring them on, like, contact, any marginal contact. Like, again, just change it a little bit to give the defenders more of a chance, and I think it'll be fine. But all of those, like, stereotypical complaints you hear, I think are just total BS. I honestly think if they really did want to change the game, and make it better, things that would matter way more are like at the end of the game, when you have like 4 timeouts left, only like one of those is a real timeout, one is a 30-second timeout, and 2 of them aren't timeouts. They're just, you can just advance the ball. So it's like you use the timeout, but just because so many of those timeouts, they just always want to advance it down the stretch of the game. So it's like timeout, boom, you inbound it from half court, but we're not taking a break. Things like that. When there's a free throw, actually, why not count the 10 seconds on the shot clock? Kind of like what baseball does with the pitch clock, where it's like a rule, but it's not like a real rule. Boom, free throw, here's the ball, starting down from 10. You shoot that free throw, here's the ball, starting down from 10. Like, the time that happens in an NBA game from when the foul is called to when the second free throw is shot is probably like 2 minutes. Let's cut that down to like 45 seconds. So, again, I think these type of things that I'm saying are like practical ideas that would just kind of make the product more watchable. They should be focusing on little things like that, slight fixes, again, that just make it a better TV product than changing the rules, because right now, old people
and
are
again, it's like they're already arguing from like a weak position because they're like admitting to something to change. Right? There's a headline I just saw in NBA and ESPN. Adam Silver says the NBA is studying the trend of more 3-point attempts and is taking seriously the criticism, looking into ways to looking into three.
Quote, that's a little misleading of his quote. But...
Well, of course, it's the NBA and ESPN. Of course, they're trying to clickbait the shit out of me. What's the real quote then?
I don't remember exactly, but it didn't read the part about the threes. He more just mentioned. He didn't say like we're looking at the threes. He's like people have mentioned the threes, and he's like It was more of a message of like we're listening and we're always looking at ways to like improve the game and like things like that. He wasn't really saying like we have to fix something or like the threes.
But I still think it would have been better if he was just like, if people are talking about more threes. It's like scoring sick, like
we love threes. We might make a 4-point line. Like
I know, scoring. Yeah, people like to see people score too. So anyway,
no,
I think, and then the only thing that I had was I just think that players just honestly there does need to be a little bit more accountability just on the players themselves. Luckily we're on a team. I don't think it's a huge issue, but guys just like straight up not trying and just kind of they get paid so much fucking money. Just go out there and like actually be like the fact that they're basically shaming the All-Stars into trying by putting
but
the
that's
rising
something
stars.
Totally different. Because I was just saying, what players aren't trying? I don't think that's a real problem. In that regular season NBA games, there's players that aren't trying. That's ridiculous.
I'm saying the players, okay, maybe not trying in games. I'm just saying like the selective kind of the days off and stuff like that. The guys who aren't like those older
like
players.
Load managing and that kind of stuff.
To me, that's different. Sort of like you're almost cheapening. You're almost telling fans the product is like whatever. And then I think that is of the same mentality as the fact that the All-Star, like they're literally shaming players.
The All-Star game is a totally different thing, I think. That's an exhibition.
But that's
game.
your big showcase. Like that's your when people you have the most eyes, you have more eyes on you then for that game a lot of times, and people tune in and they see they have all these preconceived notions about the NBA, and they turn on the game and just see that no one's taking that seriously. And they go, "Oh, see, the guys."
It's just how every All-Star game in every sport is. I think that's a dumb way to look at it.
I think it's a little bit embarrassing that the players are complaining about the news lineup because they might lose to the Rising Stars. That's my theory.
Well. Yeah, they don't want that. But again, it's kind of like, why would they have to try extra when it's supposed to be a break, like, from the trying hard? Like, we always say as fans, like, we kind of don't want our players to go so they get the rest. Like, again, it's like the motivation's kind of backwards almost in a sense, where it's like, yeah, we say all that, but like, okay, do you want Jayson Tatum to bust his ass in the All-Star game?
Yeah.
I don't. Like, no, fuck that. I don't. This is the team that we lost a fucking finals trip because of Kemba Walker getting run into the ground in the All-Star game. Like,
I mean, if you ask that same question about Kemba Walker, I'd probably have a different answer.
Okay, but I don't know. I just think the All-Star game is a totally
Kemba Walker's knees were
All-Star
going
game
into
is
that
totally
All-Star
separate
game.
thing, and I think you know what you're signing up for tuning into an All-Star game. It's fine. There's no effort problem in the regular season. I think regular season games every night. Like, all these, whatever reason you could say, people, whatever. If you actually are tuning in, you're seeing great basketball games every night. So many good teams, so many talented teams. Like, the quality play across the league is awesome. So, yeah, I don't know.
All right.
It's dumb.
All right. So, yeah, sounds like we figured it out.
And if there is anything, I also think it's a dumb theory, too, but people have theorized that all the biggest stars are international. Is another thing. There's no like clear American guys, which is again why they're clinging on to like LeBron and Curry. Well, yeah, but you know how everyone loves to say, "Oh, Tatum's boring," this and that, and like whatever. But the NBA guy right now clearly doesn't want to market him as that guy. They want it to be like Ant, but he's clearly not quite that good yet. But again, it's like all the interesting guys. Like think of if Wembanyama was American, like would ratings be better? Would it be different? Like I don't know, Luka, even SGA's Canadian. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that could be a part of it. It's not like I don't know. That's something something to consider. Perhaps.
I guess we'll see when Cooper Flag gets to the league.
I mean, I don't know if he's going to quite be that guy either, but we'll see. And I mean, if you look at who like it was kind of supposed to be, there's been some guys who you thought might come in and be a next generation of stars, and like I think Zion. I mean, think of how hyped he was for so long, and he's just like isn't.
That
really
was one of the things
anything.
I had too. was that I feel like the league has bet wrong on a lot of guys, and it's kind of like they've kind of tried to prop these guys up, and then they kind of turn into, I think Zion was a name I had. I think even like Embiid, they kind of tried to make him, and then it's just like he's kind of just this hurt. I'm not even saying like it's necessarily their fault or whatever. It's just I feel like there's been a couple like bad investments in like these guys who are supposed to be like the next up, and just kind of. I mean, even Ant, I feel like they pushed Ant a little early. I feel like he's a guy who could definitely still be that guy, but I think they put him up.
American guy. They wanted it to happen so bad. I agree. It's right there in front of their eyes. But I'm just saying, I think that, if you want to talk about something like that, that could play more of a factor than some of these other things that you might not realize. Yeah. So,
all right, we're going way far over on our time. Yeah. Not that, whatever. I think Nick pays us good overtime anyway.
It's been a lot of discourse about it around.
And I've had a lot of people kind of asking about it, and like, obviously, we'll get the people. I guarantee you this: the people that think the NBA product sucks will think that we're just like NBA homers and idiots. So they weren't going to watch NBA games, even though they're saying it's too boring. They're not going to listen to us now because we said that too. But they were never going to listen anyway. Same type of theory.
Yeah, but exactly the point. There's like great content NBA that you can consume, like Chuddy's Corner, without watching the games. Like how many people, take all the eyeballs who might have watched the Celtics game and cable instead. They're like, I'll just listen to Chuddy's Corner.
Get the recap on Chuddy's Corner.
That's kind of like we were saying. The national
like and subscribe
are so cringe, but there's so much good basketball content available. Podcasts, other Substack, social media, whatever. Like there is great coverage of basketball.
Substack. I got to get on Substack. What's Substack?
Oh, I'll tell you off air.
Oh shit! All right, let's do like around the NBA. I'm sure we got some big stories. NBA Cup concluded. Yeah. What do you got for us?
I mean, good for the Bucks. I was kind of ripping them last episode, saying they had no legit wins. This was a legit win, as legit win as you could have. Yeah, they looked awesome. They pretty much dominated the Thunder, and it's kind of eye-opening. I think loss for the Thunder. I thought the Cup was great. A lot of good games. It wasn't like an awesome final, but I think just even having that type of setting where it's like a one-off winner-take-all game with two of, the top at least 5 MVP candidates was pretty cool. And to see Giannis rise to the occasion, play so well, I didn't want the Bucks to win, but I was like, as a fan, this is just pretty cool event.
Darvin Hams, 14-0 in the NBA Cup.
Taurean Prince, too.
Yeah, I saw that he's too. Yeah, he's the secret sauce.
I mean, again, I just think much like the talk we just had, I think anyone who's dumping on the NBA Cup is just kind of like looking for a reason to rag on it. Whereas it's just
that's what I said to some people too.
Good, harmless fun.
These are all games that are going to be played anyway.
Basketball? Is that the argument? You just hate basketball? Like, because what else?
Well, what I was saying was that
not to like it.
If not for the NBA Cup, these games would all be, aside from the semifinals and all that's decided by.
Exactly.
Like, these are all games that would be being played anyway. So all that change is that they're a little bit more juice to them. Like, why would
100%.
If maybe if the NBA Cup doesn't work out, maybe they can just do this where it's just like every couple of nights they just like spin a wheel and that game just has like a whoever wins this game gets an extra like $100K per team. Like just I don't know, because it's basically what it is. You just pump a little more juice into a regular season game.
Totally.
So I don't get
again
if you say it's not overly like it doesn't interest me enough. Sure, I guess I can understand that. But people who are like, I hate it.
Enough to what? Do you want to see the playoffs? It would have been again, it's just like what we just talked about to me with the threes versus the long twos. People saying this versus that, where it's like, if you're saying you wish it just wasn't the Cup, it's like, oh, so you wish this game just meant like a little less.
Right.
Exactly. Because that's the only alternative. They're still playing the same game. It just doesn't have this slight extra meaning, which is cool, if nothing else, just for like the point differential and the fact that some of these guys clearly do care. Like, I thought we saw a lot of really good games, and then you get these intense kind of playoff games at this random little almost like mini break where everyone's watching, and I just thought it was cool and fun. And again, it's just like, I mean, it's not this or this other thing. It's like there was nothing, now there's this thing that's like pretty cool. I think there's ways to fix it. I think they should make it a little more advantageous somehow. I don't know like exactly how, but think of like a tiny tweak to make it maybe a little more beneficial to winning it for some of these teams. Because
I think I have a great solution. It's not my idea.
Let's hear it.
Well, the only one thing I wanted to say was I thought it was a good example. I don't want to lose it. I feel like the NBA Cup is almost like a slice of pizza, where it's just like look, a regular season game is just like a regular season game is like a slice of cheese pizza. It's not bad. You're going to enjoy it no matter what. The NBA Cup is like, hey, you want me to throw some toppings on that pizza? It's like, why would you say no to that? Right? Oh, yeah, sure. I'll take some extra toppings. So,
no.
Just a little quick metaphor, but I think
sausage, pepper, and onions is too confusing. I don't get it.
It's so hard. Worldwide Wob, Rob Perez. I think he had a pretty good idea for it. So he said on the show today, I proposed the following to add some extra incentive to the NBA Cup. The Cup Finals win counts for the team that wins it. So if you win the NBA Cup Final, you get an extra win in your schedule. So you basically get an extra like 0.5 games that you could possibly go up on anyone. So like
you basically have a tie break over every.
It's just a tie. Yeah, exactly. You pretty much get an automatic tie break over anyone. I think that's like, I hadn't heard that yet, but to me, that kind of like threads the needle pretty much perfectly where you're not doing too much, because I know some people are saying like automatic playoff. It's like, you can't do that because then that hurts the other teams too much. But to me, this seems like the perfect solution. That game, if you lose the NBA Cup Final, it doesn't count as an extra loss for you. It says if you're never there or whatever, but the winner should get that extra win. And I think it's a perfect little tiebreak.
I agree. No, that'd be like the perfect tweak. I don't want them to overdo it, like you said, because I've heard people be like, you automatically get the 6th seed at worst. And it's like, you can't. That's
crazy.
Then what's that team going to do for their next 60 games? Like,
yeah.
So, no, don't overdo it. Again, I think it's a good thing. Tweak it a little bit here and there, maybe every year. Find ways to make it slightly better. I don't know. The schedule to me was kind of weird with the semis. Semis kind of seemed cooler. The little Saturday doubleheader, and then Tuesday night is like I don't know. Just seemed kind of weird in that sense. But maybe they figured Tuesday night, like they'll have the night to themselves. So I don't know. I thought it was cool. I mean, I was excited about it. People were talking about it. So again, it's just that versus nothing. I really don't see how you could think it was bad. I think they got to figure that thing out though, making it something like you just said, and making it also not so now like. The Thunder just played like these really tough games. Now they play tonight. They won, but then they play again tomorrow night back to back. So it's just like brutal scheduling where they're just watching all these other teams like resting around the league. And then there's kind of some funny stuff how it doesn't really count like stats wise. So the Thunder obviously lost, but like technically right now they're on a 6-game winning streak. And the stats from that game don't count too. So like if someone broke a record, like they wouldn't get the record.
Imagine if there was like a Wilt game, someone scored like
it was just little things that again, it's still very new, and for what it is compared to again 2 years ago, it was just nothing. It was just regular season games.
Exactly.
Like
we're just all we're doing is adding toppings to the pizza, folks. Don't get so worked up.
Totally agree. The one thing I will say, did you see that? So afterwards, there was like a whole room set up to celebrate with champagne and beer and all that stuff on ice, like goggles, the whole scene. And the Bucks just chose not to do it. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. So
respectable.
I think so too. And again, I think that's fine. I thought there were totally like enough celebrating on the court. They're all like hugging, they're raising
right, and that's what you can do.
Fine.
Yeah,
which again,
great,
you want that because I heard
and
people
if
being
you
like,
want to
"What
go
an insult!"
out afterwards, like if you're in Vegas, you go out and party after. Sure,
it's kind of like there's just in general too much of this. Like I always say, it's ridiculous in baseball how like you do that champagne party for clinching the playoffs, then for winning like the 1-game wild card, then for winning the second round. It's like you've had 4 champagne celebrations and you're just like just made the semifinals. Like, all right, relax, like. So I think that's a good balance of like, you don't need to pop champagne and have this entire celebration. You can enjoy it.
Plus that makes the Lakers doing it so much more funny.
Well, yeah, and did you see part of it? Darvin Ham said he's like he was the one. He said before the game because they chose to do it even win or lose. They had said I think before the game they weren't going to. And part of it I guess was Darvin Ham saying like he was there last year and he thought like, all right, I think we celebrated that like a little too much, and then it was like a letdown after that or whatever. So. Interesting to see. Again, I think that's like totally fine and appropriate. I'd probably want the same if I was the Celtics. If they were in there having like a champagne party, I'd probably be like, all right, this is a bit much. But again, show some emotion, raise the trophy, like hug it out.
The court's great,
exactly. So overall, NBA Cup, rock solid.
Good, great toppings, great pizza.
Although, drove me fucking crazy the last few weeks with some of the schedules. Like last night, no games. But tomorrow night, there's like 3 games on a Friday night. Like what the. Got to figure out something with that, but
Celtics playing like 2 games in 3 months. It's crazy,
ridiculous.
I have a great quote. They're asking Joe about the the thing with the ref afterwards. So I got the audio here. I think I'll just play that. I think it's probably the best way to do it.
Love it.
All right, here we go.
And after the game, looked like a couple of assistants and security guard needed to kind of hold you back. What message were you trying to deliver there?
I just hadn't seen them in a while, so just a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I wasn't sure I was going to see them before the holiday, and I just can't let a moment go by to where you wish someone, just the best, to them and theirs and their families.
That moment.
So
Awesome.
That's pretty solid Joe line there. So that's all.
I love that.
Wish him Merry Christmas. That's all.
So so
Happy holidays.
expect to see him on the bench on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be interesting. All
Different
right.
refs. Different refs Saturday, by the way.
Anything else pending around the league? LeBron's back.
LeBron's back. LeBron and AD. Actually, weird scheduling quirk. Lakers are playing the Kings tonight. Two teams probably you'd think it'd be in the battle for those play-in spots all year long. They actually play each other 3 times in the next 9 days. 3 of their games, so 3 and 5 for each of them. So, in a way, it's almost like a mini playoff series here in the regular season because, again, those teams, it's neck and neck in the standings, top to bottom, and those are 2 teams you think will be right on the cusp, probably of playoffs, play-ins. Like, every game's huge, so 3 games right now against each other, like, pretty cool. Random. I don't love that the NBA does that, but it definitely makes these games pretty fascinating. And down the year, like, the end of the season, 1 and 2 games with those 2 teams could make a difference. They're both fighting for the spots, so should be some good games. They just got underway earlier. A bit of an eye opener. The Grizzlies, I don't know what the final score was, but they were beating the Warriors at one point like 100-50. They were basically doubling them up. Grizzlies were playing out of their minds. The Warriors, they've been struggling a bit since we saw them. I don't know, they had fallen pretty back. I think they're back to the play-in mix. Dennis Schroeder did not have a great debut. I think Steph Curry only had 2 points. I think Draymond was like a minus 42 in 19 minutes. May not have recorded a stat, so very odd, but absolute trouncing. Grizzlies look pretty good. Warriors going in the wrong direction. We'll see. Obviously, just the first game since that Schroeder trade, but we called out right at the beginning of the year. I said they're trying to fool us with this. Oh, we like to play 12 guys. Bullshit. They're trying to showcase people. They know, I think, that they need another guy. They're maybe a team that could try to throw all their guys together for like Jimmy Butler because, why not? They owe it to Steph. And I think it's clear they need another star if they want to try to contend. So that was interesting. And then that was pretty much it. Oh, did you see that Hornets thing? The Hornets did like a sideline contest for a kid during a commercial. And he unwrapped something and won a PS5.
Yeah.
And then I guess as soon as like he went off and the game started, they told him and they're like, you didn't actually win the PS5, and they just gave him like a signed jersey. And then I guess there was so much backlash that they ended up like giving him a PS5.
But like they were like
basically
pick a
just
gift,
trying
you
to
pick
like
the gift, and they're like, just kidding, obviously.
Seemingly, they're just trying to like cheap out on giving him the PS5. So
did you see the Suns concession prices drop?
Yeah, dude. I mean, impossible not to respect it.
Yeah, they had a great tweet with the I think you should
from
leave
the team's official account.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ishbia. Listen, no one's gonna go to bat saying how awesome these billionaires are. A lot of them just the products of nepotism and what have you. Again, a whole nother conversation. I'm not saying he's a good guy, anything like that. I have no idea, but this is a super respectable move to drop the price of all the concessions, and super respectable move. I'm pretty sure when he bought the team too, he agreed to just put all the games on local access TV for free, so anyone in Arizona can watch every Suns game for free. So shit like that is like, okay, that's like why you would buy a sports team, not to just like look at it like a business and bottom line. So I do at least respect that. Like what Ballmer's doing with this fucking the wall in the Intuit Dome. Have you seen that? Where the guys who like stand behind the free throws and the way you do it, the way you get there is like you show up early, wear all Clippers gear, and you have to agree that you won't sit the entire game. So it's like, if you're the owner, like he doesn't give a shit about making every dollar. He's like, this could give us a competitive advantage. And I've heard multiple visiting players talk about like, yeah, I did notice the wall, like shit like that. So
the wall,
yeah,
that's great.
Hey, like what the hell? Why not?
No reason not to. All right, we got the Bulls coming back up. So preview wise, same team we just played tonight. Should be a good matchup. Hopefully we have Hauser back.
Mm-hmm. In Chicago, different referees.
In Chicago.
See if they have Josh Giddey back, who's been, he's a focal part of their
You'd love
Offense,
that, wouldn't you?
when he does play, your favorite player, as we've talked about on numerous occasions.
Disturbing.
But, I mean, they play the same style when he's out there, but he is a different kind of player, one who usually has the ball more, one who doesn't really have any off-ball gravity shooting-wise, and one who is a guy we can target on defense. So, I don't think the Celtics would mind seeing him return, actually, in that game.
Yeah. Be good to have him back for that reason.
I know. You think it was good to have him back. Yeah, I know.
The Giddler. Dear Lord. All right. Well, this has been fun.
Good stuff.
Hopefully,
good stuff.
anyone who was on the fence about the NBA's, ratings and stuff like that, hopefully we convince you that, don't believe the hype. And NBA, please stop just offering the hype up for free. Please stop shitting on yourself.
Right.
Well, yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. Schedule's starting to ramp back up, so we'll be back with you guys again after every Celtics game. Make sure you're checking us out. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. We're on all the platforms you can get podcasts on. We're on YouTube, too. Check out our YouTube page. Catch a video episode of the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Chuddy's Corner. Follow Chuddy. He's at King Chuddy. Follow me. I'm at Doug_outs. And yeah, we'll see everyone back here on Saturday. Can't wait. Have a good night. Take care.
Peace out, Chuddy.